Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 345 Tech Talks podcast. I'm Andrew. I'm with my colleague Danny, and it's our first one of January, which is pretty lax, really. We're 3 weeks into January, and it's our first podcast. But January's been nuts so far. Um,
Yeah.
Danny, we've been doing a shirt thing on the podcast lately. What's
Uh,
going on? You're
I know. I
you're
knew
you're,
this was
you're
coming.
rather casual.
I've not obviously received the memo starters, and I just thought New Year, new me. So, um, I'll be back. Don't worry, I'll be back.
Okay, cool.
Can't get into any
And
shops to try any good ones on to bring him on. So that's the
that
problem.
is true. That is true. So this one I've had it for a while. At first glance, it might look like a very boring and sensible one, but does actually have a very nice jacquard print on it. So
Yeah.
if you look in detail, it's got more than meets the eye initially. So that's my choice for today. And what are we talking about then, Danny?
So we are going to talk around a little bit about BizTalk and the BizTalk Migrator tool, which if you've been following 345 or any of the 345 team in and around LinkedIn or some of our social media, then you'd know that we are big advocates of the BizTalk Migrator tool. We're very intrigued as to how the technology is going to work, and I think this is a good opportunity, new year, to start talking about BizTalk as a whole. So I think
Yeah.
we're going to start off with BizTalk itself, so the on-premises
Okay.
system of BizTalk, and then we're going to go into the whys and why the BizTalk Migrator tool has been, or we believe has been brought into play, if you like, and released by Microsoft at the back end of last year. And then we're also just going to touch a little bit on when a current potential BizTalk user should maybe consider start thinking about the Migrator tool and whether there's a good chance for them to use it. So that's the subject for today. So yeah.
Great. Okay. So where do we start then?
So we do
So
start. Go on. Sorry.
no, you go.
No, I'm on flow now. You caught me out of flow. So firstly, I want for us to talk a little bit about what BizTalk is. So can you give us a really brief overview? And I think it's quite important if you give a little bit of an overview of your history around BizTalk as well.
Okay. So the three founders of 345, myself, Paul, and James, we all have a history in BizTalk. It's almost like that's what brought us together back in the day. Um, and we used to work for a company called Solidsoft that was a BizTalk specialist consultancy then. And Paul even goes back to BizTalk 2000. I think I started on BizTalk in 2004. And so we do have quite a history of it, going back quite a way. Not so much. That's not really what we're doing in terms of the current projects. Really, we don't build new things on BizTalk now. Generally, we're building obviously data platforms and cloud systems, but that is our background. And in terms of what BizTalk is, it is an integration platform. So if and the scenario is kind of this: in your business, you've got things like um, your accounting system, your financials. You've got things like your CRM with all your customers in it. You've maybe got a warehouse system, and so if you're in the CRM system and you take an order, that order needs to find its way into your financials so that you've got a record of it in your financial system, and it needs to go into your warehouse system so that people can ship it. And so if you are, you know, and so what you need to do to plug all those things together, you need an integration technology, and that's where BizTalk was kind of born. So that you create an order that goes into BizTalk. BizTalk then puts that into the other systems, and it can translate the format of that data into the native format required for those other systems. So just that's the kind of the main concept around the product, and it did that very well for many years, and that is generally, you know, and BizTalk really as a product hasn't changed much since about 2004
Right.
in what the core engine is. It supports more different, there's more variety in the types of things it can connect to, and it supports the latest version of SQL Server and all that sort of thing. But in terms of what it does, it does that, and that as a category, that's generally called application integration. And what application integration means really is that you have messages that refer to one business entity at a time, like an order or a customer or a sale or a a purchase order or a delivery, or just one by one, all these different bits of information are dealt with as a single message, as opposed to data integration, which is where you might be taking millions of rows in a database and putting them in another database. So that kind of bulk transform of data, when you're taking millions of rows at a time or a day's worth of rows at a time, that's data integration. That's a very different tool set. So so in BizTalk, it's about application integration, and yeah, so that's what it is.
All right. Okay. Would you have a little bit of an idea as to the type of industries that would use more of a BizTalk? I mean, you mentioned there about e-commerce being a big part of industries that may use this. So obviously, e-commerce sites,
Do you know
retail.
what? It's pretty much, it could be pretty much anything. So so some of the things that we've worked with in the past, various public sector, airlines, car hire, police forces, hospitals,
Okay.
manufacturers, like I say, e-commerce. Um, the list is really, it could be anything, because generally speaking, most organizations over a certain size have all these systems that need to talk to each other.
Yeah.
It's a universal problem, and that is a solution for it.
Yeah. So BizTalk, as we know, is an on-premises server system platform, and we are now obviously very much, as most of the world is moving to that sort of cloud technology. So last year, Microsoft announced the BizTalk Migrator tool, or the BizTalk Migrator, and that was to migrate people from BizTalk and build their server in the cloud, let's say. So can you talk us a little bit around the BizTalk Migrator tool, and the purposes of that, and how that's going to potentially help people move from BizTalk and into cloud technology?
Okay, so I suppose to start that, I'll answer something completely different.
That's
and that
perfect.
is really is that okay, we talked about BizTalk as being, it's quite an old technology, and it's an on-premises technology principally, and really it's what is the alternative in the cloud? Because what we have these days is a very different tool set in the cloud for solving integration problems, and those revolve around things like service buses or message buses, event grids. We've got serverless APIs. We've got API management tools. We've got cloud workflow, and we've got a whole different bag of tools in the cloud. And the reason that's significant is that particularly if you're using, a lot of these are providers as platform as a service. So they're hosted by the cloud provider, and you just have to provision them and use them. And that gives a whole host of advantages. So for example, there's very little management to do on them, because the cloud provider makes sure that they're running on a server. Generally speaking, they're on a consumption basis, so you pay for the number of messages that go through them, not just a standing charge for having the license. So that can make the pricing a lot better, particularly for smaller organizations. Also, you've got the scalability, the elastic scale of cloud. So a lot of businesses have peaks and troughs in their workload. So one of the biggest BizTalk installations we ever did was a payment system for a national, well-known high street financial institution that everyone would know the name of. And that one, on the first day of the month, you get a colossal amount of payments, because everyone's got their everyone's been paid at the end of the month, and they're doing the direct debits and they're standing orders and all that sort of thing. So you've got one day of the month when you've got 10 times more load than any other day of the month. And so you have to size your infrastructure for that one day of the month, and then the rest of the other 29 days of the month, it's barely breaking a sweat. Now with cloud, you can literally have on one day of the month have 10 times as many resources, and then excuse me, and the rest of the time scale that back so that you're only paying for what you use, and that ability to scale and flex is really important. Similarly, there are some some businesses or some websites that you get an advert on TV in in prime time, and then suddenly everyone hits the website straight away and starts doing stuff, and that's okay because you can scale to meet that. And then when the advert's finished and everyone's back watching their program, the demand can go back down again, and that's a really, really powerful thing. So so that the world of integration, just like the world of website hosting and the world of databases and data platforms, by going cloud, you've got a whole load of benefits related to scale, ease of management, ease of provisioning. Now, in terms of the BizTalk Migrators, obviously Microsoft's main strategy since 2008 has been get people into our cloud. They've found different ways of saying it, and so one manifestation of that is Office 365. One manifestation of it is Dynamics 365, but also the whole suite of Azure services. And since BizTalk is principally for on-premises, I mean, it can run in the cloud, but it's not a really natural fit, because you can only run it in the cloud really if you do infrastructure as a service, and even then there's a lot of networking that you have to sort out. It's not easy. So if you were going to move your integration stuff into the cloud, really you want to use this tool set, and obviously Microsoft's tool set is called Azure Integration Services. And the thing is, they're like chalk and cheese. It's not like you can migrate. It's not like you've got a website and that's running on-prem and you want to put that in a web application in Azure, and it's pretty much the same thing. You might just tweak it here and there, but it's pretty much the same thing. That these things are like chalk and cheese. They're totally different, and that's why the upgrade path is not very easy, and that is the reason why specialist tooling is required to try to uplift. For people that don't want to have to rewrite everything from scratch, you need some pretty specialist tooling to actually decompose what your BizTalk app is doing and then build the equivalent app in Azure, and that's what the BizTalk Migrator is there for.
It's interesting what you said there about the scalability of cloud and what it can do, and there's still, well, I mean, not that we can give you any numbers, but there's still a lot of people that that aren't in that cloud yet. They could be using BizTalk, for example, like we said, a lot of retail, the financial sector, because of the way that that integration inside the business can work and how it makes life easier for everyone in around that business. So I guess that leads me quite nicely into what, and in terms of when a business would really start to think about this. When do you, just from experience, what are you seeing? I know, even from my experience, I'm talking to more and more people now that are starting to think about that migrating into the cloud. Maybe not quite everything at once, still having that hybrid type opportunity that allows them to just be a bit flexible when they need to be, but still have the, to start with anyway, that base is still sat there in their on-premises system. So what are you seeing as a bit of as a comparison from what I'm seeing, if there's any at all?
So the when is a good question, because it depends on a number of things. So generally speaking, most organizations we talk to, and this is the same for you as for me, Danny, most organizations we talk to have got a cloud strategy now. That they certainly new things they're putting in the cloud, and they are going to, they want to get the old stuff moved, and they're trying to develop roadmaps for that. and some of them are further along than others, and that's generally, but almost everyone is interested in getting into the cloud now because they've realized that it's out of everyone whose core business is running a data center, for most businesses, just having their own on-premises stuff is just it's just not the thing that they should be concentrating on. They shouldn't be concentrating on how to keep servers fed and watered. They should be concentrating on what makes their business different.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
and I think most of the time now people have made the conceptual leap. They're going to do that, but then there's the thing about, well, what are the specific triggers? What are the things at particular points in time that mean we've right now's the right time? So so there are a few things. One of them is that some people actually have got a goal to close the data center by a certain date, and then they've got to migrate everything, and then they're just that's what's happening. The program is running, and then it's just a question of putting all the things they're going to migrate into a program plan, tackling them over a period of time, and then migrate. And that is one approach people are taking. The other approach really is that with servers, generally speaking, when you buy them on-prem, they have a certain lifespan, and particularly the software that you buy a server, you've got your operating system, maybe your database platform, maybe your BizTalk platform, and they have a certain lifespan. Usually, you get about 5 years of mainstream support on them, and then maybe another 5 years of extended support.
Mm-hmm.
But there comes a time when they need to be replaced, because after a while you can't get spare parts for your servers anymore. The software products that you've got, the manufacturers don't support that version anymore, and so you've got a decision then as, do I upgrade this? In other words, do I buy the same thing but the latest version of it? So do I get more servers on-prem? Do I get the latest version of BizTalk, the latest version of SQL, the latest version of Windows, and just refresh that on-prem stack?
Yeah.
Or do I say, actually, we've come to a new investment cycle now. My next investment is going into the cloud, and that's perhaps the main trigger point that we're seeing.
Yeah. Okay.
And when people come to us, because people come to us for this. People come to us to migrate their BizTalk and their data platforms and their applications into the cloud.
Yeah.
And on all of those, the trigger point usually is I'm at a new investment cycle. The time's now right. That's
Yeah.
the most common cause. One of the other common causes is I've got issues with my application. Often performance, often scalability, and I need to do something about it. And cloud offers me a way to do that. So, there are.
So like a modernization, you mean?
Yeah. So I mean, but it's the drivers for why I'm going to modernize. The most common driver is it's a new investment cycle. Our strategy is to go into the cloud. Therefore, I now need to move this application into the cloud.
Yeah.
But there are other things that may drive people into the cloud. One of them is performance, scalability. One of them is cost, just getting your operational costs down, and the other one is just agility, because with the cloud, you want a new server, boom, like 2 minutes later you've got a new server.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're a fast moving business, particularly a fast changing business, and your competitive position relies on your ability to change fast, then that's another reason why you'll go to the cloud, because on-premises systems where you've got physical tin and all that sort of stuff, even if you virtualize, you still ultimately you've still got to buy tin somewhere, and that's slow, and so you're just the ability of how much faster you can move with the cloud
Yeah.
is a really good reason to go. So those are some of the reasons why you might choose to do this now.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. I think it's a really interesting subject, especially not just BizTalk, ultimately, but moving to the cloud as a whole. A lot of a lot of the work that I do is sat around Azure, and the benefits of being in Azure as a cloud service with Microsoft. and some of the stuff I look at, including things like cost comparisons. And it's if you had that cost calculator comparison in front of you, it can really be quite a big driver as well. Like you said there, if you're at that investment cycle where actually we can have a look at changing things up. But I think a lot of it is the ability to do so much more in the cloud, and I think that's a really big part of cloud tech. So brilliant.
There's definitely a yeah. I think with a lot of people, I mean, particularly early days, there's quite a big fear of getting into the cloud, and a lot of I don't know, is it risky? Can we make it secure enough? Can we do this? And I think once people have actually made the leap, and particularly if you embrace it fully and go for it very, very quickly, it's like, why didn't we do this earlier?
Yeah.
Why didn't we do this before? Because life is so much easier now.
Yeah.
And we don't have to all those things we no longer have to do.
It's I think one of the things is quite funny actually, because I think of like Apple's iCloud, for example, that when you wanted to do an update on your phone, you used to have to plug your Apple back into your laptop,
computer,
log into your iTunes, and then do your update. And now you just as long as you've got enough power and a bit of Wi-Fi, it will do it for you there and then. And that's the power of cloud. And I think everybody has even now on your phones you've got things like Apple Pay and all that type of stuff that the security now is second to none. So,
and the thing that amazes me when you go to upgrade your phone now, and then they just like say, well, literally put the two phones together, put your old and your new phone together. They sort of do a handshake. The new one goes off to get your backup from the cloud.
Yeah.
And it's job done. It's just just like I say, that flexibility of the availability of your systems anywhere. And I think as well, just the way things have gone over the last year.
Yes, yeah, that's a good point.
That okay, a year ago, who'd have known what a 12 months we were in for?
Yeah.
But the fact that you can make all your systems available to it, regardless of location.
Yeah.
And that's one of the other benefits that cloud gives you is just that it just frees you from having people that have to go into your data center and all that sort of thing. And obviously some people have got to go into the Azure data center, but that then stops being your problem.
Yeah.
And you can just get on with running your business and knowing that you've got continuity of business, and that whether people are working at home or whether they're in the office, they've got access to their systems, and there's no friction between of getting people to work remotely or getting people to work where they need to.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very, very valid point. That took a lot of people, I think, by surprise, and it certainly changed the way we do things, hasn't it? Without a shadow of a doubt.
I mean, funny enough, a lot of tech companies maybe not so, because 345 right from the day we started, we had a no-tin policy that apart from the computer that's on your desk, we have no computers. We use software as a service when we can, and then platform as a service if not, and then at a last resort infrastructure as a service. But we even got rid of all our infrastructure as a service a while back. So if you're actually being quite nimble, you probably didn't notice the difference. If you were still stuck in your ways a little bit, it was probably quite a big shock.
Yeah.
Anyway, there we go. First podcast of 2020. Thanks to everyone for listening, and we are going to do this every 2 weeks now. I think that's an achievable cadence without me melting down, and so we look forward to catching you in a couple of weeks. So it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
All right, goodbye.
Cheers, guys.